Hey everyone, welcome back to my video. So today I'll be going through PSLE 2024 question number 21. So this is on light and shadow size. Okay, shadow size. Okay, basically you have three things. Okay, light source, screen, and the puppet. Okay, the audience actually there to actually kind of confuse you. The audience doesn't really play a part in affecting the shadow size. If the audience is further away, the shadow size still remain the same. Okay, if it's nearer, the shadow size still remain the same. So the audience, right, does not affect the shadow size. So which action makes the shadow on the screen bigger? Okay, you want a bigger shadow. So there are three things that you can do to the light source, puppet, and the screen. Okay, not to the audience. Okay, to make it bigger, these are three things that you can do. Make the screen further away, make the puppet closer to the light source, okay, or make the light source closer to the puppet. 2 and 3, they are kind of like the same point. If you move the puppet closer to the light source, essentially you are moving the light source closer to the puppet. Okay, so 2 and 3 are the same. Also, if you want to make it smaller, then the screen, okay, you will have to move it nearer from the puppet. Okay, further, right, make it larger. So nearer, make it smaller. So puppet will be further away from light source, or the light source will be further away from the puppet. 2 and 3 is still the same point. Okay, to make it smaller. So in here, right, the answer is pretty much obvious. 1 is the answer. Okay, 1 is the answer. 2, you will make the shadow smaller. Okay, move the screen nearer to the light source, which is this. You will make a smaller shadow. 3 does not affect. So 2 is a smaller shadow, does not affect. Does not affect the shadow size because you are essentially changing the audience to the screen. It does not affect. Okay, so 4, move the puppet further away from the light source. Further away from light source is over here, this part over here. You also make the shadow smaller. Okay, so this part actually the answer is pretty obvious. It is 1, but if let's say in exam if you forget, there's a few things that you can do. Okay, let's say if you in exam you forget. Okay, this is one way they can do. Okay, you can draw a torchlight, light source, or can you use the diagram. Light source, then you have the screen. Okay, and these are the distance. Okay, let's say you have an object here. Object. This refers to object. Okay, so let me break this part down. Okay, if you move this object, okay, nearer to the light source, then this part over here I can say that it is larger shadow. Okay, this is one way that you can do it. If somehow if you move the object further away from the light source, then you will have a smaller shadow. If let's say in exam you forget what to do. Okay, so if essentially I'm just saying that if this object is nearer to the light source, then you will fall into this range over here, which will allow you to have a larger shadow. If the object is further away from the light source, at this range over here, you will have a smaller shadow. Okay, in this case. Then let's say if the object, okay, now we talk about if we move the light source. Okay, if we move the light source nearer to the object, okay, then you will have a larger shadow. Right? So if we move the light source further away from the object, now in this case we will think of it as the object, okay, is in the smaller shadow range. Then you will have a smaller shadow if we were to move the light source further away. Okay, this is one way to think about it. Same for the screen. Okay, so if you move the screen nearer to the object, okay, if you move the screen, okay, if you move the screen nearer to the object, so the object and the screen will be of a shorter distance, then you will have a smaller shadow. Okay, but if you move the screen, okay, if you move the screen, okay, further away, now this object is nearer to this light source, then you will have a larger shadow. So you can think of it this way. If this still doesn't work, you can kind of draw it out. Okay, draw lines over here which will more or less help you. Okay, so this will be the path of the shadow. Okay, maybe the path of the shadow. As you can see, this will be the how the shadow will look like. If you move the screen further away, the shadow become larger. Okay, you can use more or less use this kind of method to help you. Okay, so this is just one way to get around things. Okay, if you really in exam you are confused, you can kind of use this method to to help you to decide whether is it larger shadow or smaller shadow. So in a nutshell, it just means light source, screen. Okay, in between you have the distance. If the object itself, right? If the object itself is nearer, okay, then let's say you have an object, okay, let me write this down first. Larger shadow, smaller shadow. Okay, let's say you have an object, it's nearer the light source, then you have a larger shadow. Okay, but it's further away, light source nearer the screen, you have a smaller shadow. Okay, likewise, if you move the screen further away, right, then the object will be nearer the light source, then you will have a larger shadow. So you can think of it, okay, in this manner, okay, and you swap around things. Then from there, you will be able to know whether is it larger or smaller. So you have to ask yourself, right, whether this distance is it longer than this distance. Okay, and then if in this case, right, will the object, if you shift one of the item over here and here, right, will the object be closer to the light source or closer to the screen, or further away from the screen, further away from light source? And then with that, you can place your object in either way such that you can find out whether is it a larger shadow or smaller shadow. Okay, with that, thank you very much.